Hello, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning to all of you live from Dasmania City, home of the Pau Festival. This is your one and only Dirpo speaking for DPinFocus Live Session Season 2. And by the way, this topic have stemmed into this Valentine's month celebration as what we have to call in for this live stream, whereas there are some sort of not only to the romantic significance but also for us Catholics. You know what? There's a saint behind this Valentine's Day. That's Saint Valentine. And of course, is a martyr saint after some sort of refusal to follow the order of the emperor that led to his demise. Whereas, as far as we all know, the soldiers have ought to be married. But of course, Saint Valentine is also a soldier and at the same time devout to the faith wherein he had to marry in or he had to solemnize the marriage in secret, but unfortunately it got exposed. Of course, if you want to learn something about the patron saint this Valentine's Day, 14th February, of course, it's Saint Valentine. I may suggest to you to please proceed to the Feast SM Dasmania's Facebook page and look for the episode of the Bible study community that mentions Saint Valentine. And by the way, this love season, mga kapuso, kapatid, ka-Fister, ka-DP24, yes, of course, for us singles, we don't need to be worried about what it takes to celebrate the Valentine's season as a single. Of course, single blessedness could be more like of serving others as well, and with such things that we have occurred, of course, there's a love language already that automatically, if you serve a community, well, that's an act of service as your primary love language. But for some reason, some individuals might have a different love languages as explained by or with some inspiration from Dr. Guy Chap. Oh my goodness me. I almost forgot this one, but It's Dr. Gary Chapman for the love languages or the love languages. Oh my goodness me. But of course, to those watching all over Como, Facebook Watch, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, welcome to DPinFocus Season 2, where it is a safe place to share all of these tips, in particular to the safety and security, self-help, and others as well. And the last season one that I remember something is that I gave some sort of a clue on, you know, this long story of some sort of the woman that I have wanted to meet last 2020, presumably wherein I have tried to surprise her, but it got literally failed. Of course, every Saturday way back pre-pandemic times wherein I have to serve the feast SM Las Mañas. And if I have noticed the clock that says 14:30, oh my goodness me, I have to go right away into the media ministry assembly. But of course, with some sort of awkwardness, I have to write something in a piece of paper. And of course, one phrase got into an inspiration, especially with my favorite worship band. Shout out to those, excuse me please. Shout out to all feast worship artists, especially Sis Via, Sis Fania, Brother Ayo, Brother Ralph, and more. Of course, I got into some sort of inspiration wherein I have to send a 10 message. And of course, what they didn't expect is this. With the message that I have to drop it off at the table and then proceed right away into the feast SM Dasmanias. Yes, of course. I have to be in a hurry because I don't like to be late on the assembly and something like that. But I have asked one time with the feast builder, our local feast builder rather, about some sort of the advices that I should take. Well, of course, whatever it happened recently, I have to quote this in the exact or in verbatim adapted format that there is a calculated risk, and of course what happened is already there. So mga singles po dyan, and of course you're discerning about either a single blessedness or for some sort of loving relationship, well, I would like to advise all of you to pray for the discernment, especially sa panahon po ngayon with the social medias right here. And yes, if I realize something is that I have to write all of the love offering that love offering envelope in a secret, and some of the onlookers are curious on what I have wrote in a particular church, especially in vegan Bantay area in E002, but I have succeeded in inserting into the boxes containing such love offerings. And of course, what I have been praying for is that sooner or later after this graduation, I might have into going or venturing into board examination. Excuse me. And of course, if love and relationship will pave its way naturally, then of course, I'm glad to be a part of a relationship, a loving relationship with special someone. But truth to be told, I have made a promise to myself that I have to finish first the academics, and that's why I have to go back to the university where I'm currently studying civil engineering. And yes, of course, I'm on a fifth year with two backlogs or two subject backlogs. And yes, I don't lie. I don't like to lie to anyone else. I have to stand for the truth that matters the most, especially in these rough times that we have been. And yes, of course, shout out to those watching here on Como. And what I have remembered last time, last Friday, wherein I have stumbled into the Kumo live of Sis Joyce together with Brother Wancho and their child, Eliam. Of course, what I have realized something is that this the safety tip for all of us, especially if you're into the social media. Most likely, some of you are single, some of you are into relationship, or some of you are married, or some of you have family already. And here's one tip. If you spot an erratic comment, that pertains to the threat, you have to report right away to the police or to NBI, especially if that threat contains a criteria that would endanger our fellow podcasters or broadcaster or streamer or someone who is in the field of media. Me, myself, I have to consider as a media guy here ever since 2017 upon entering into the media ministry of the church. And yes, we have to be very responsible in what we are saying, especially if you're online, then you have to think twice before you send. And please take note that all of these commentaries that are shown on Como and even on Facebook Watch, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube are public already. And all audiences, or should I say, and all of these commentaries can be seen by all audiences. And to those who have children, especially if you're a parent, then you have to guide your children right away and teach them the responsible internet usage in order not to be victimized of some sort of threats. And yes, of course, we have zero tolerance policies for all sorts of jokes that are deemed threatening. And yes, of course, we have to report all of these threats to the police. Good thing that Sis Joyce have screen grab such erratic comment and then reported already to the police or NBI, and the only immediate action is that to kick all of the errant audiences out of this live. And yes, of course, if you're on a Kumo, beware of errant people going to into the chat or commentaries. Then of course you have to report right away to the moderators. And please, to those, or should I say, since we are at the election period, we have to be very neutral here, especially if we are engaging into the media. And of course, we have to be fair and square. No biases are allowed. And yes, we have to be vigilant against all forms of health protocol issues that may deem dangerous for your health. Avoid mass gatherings if possible. And if there's available live stream version, I may suggest you to join instead into the online version instead. Most especially, we have the Facebook Watch or Facebook Live. We have YouTube for the mass audience reach. And to those invited, most of you might be using Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Skype. But to those who are still insisting on the in-person mass gatherings, always remember that no physical contact is allowed in any form and in any shape. Not even some sort of hugs, kisses, and arms in between. Otherwise, you might get disqualified from the candidacy. And on the election day, we have to vote wisely as part of the campaign. Vote Safe Pilipinas from Comelec. And yes, due to the pandemic, there's an isolation polling place wherein those who have been screened but with questionable health conditions will be allowed to vote, but after voting, you have to wait until you have been sent into the quarantine facility for further testing and isolation. Hopefully, there would be no such forms of super spreader events that may occur during this election. And as such, we have to practice 5S discipline. That stands for sort, set in order, shine, systematize, and sustain. Or in Japanese, seiyei, seiton, seiso, seiketsu, and shisuke. And discipline or bliss and discipline combined. We have to practice ourselves into going into now as we are going into some sort of discipline, especially on what we have to do not only for today or tomorrow or in the future, but also we have to practice these responsibilities that we have, most especially in most schools, universities, and colleges. They are very strict on the buzzing of all of the meals after you eat. You're supposed to buzz right away into the appropriate containers that are properly labeled. Might as well that if you have a date with your special someone, you have to help her in any way, especially on the busing, like collecting all of the used plates into a single tray that would be used for busing, and of course, accompany her at all times. Ever since that, I have been realized something that from the context that I have been studied way back the high school, if there are any dangers that we have spotted, then we have to apologize and leave right away. And of course, to all gentlemen right here watching on FB Watch, Como, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube on any time zones, listen to this. You have to be very gentle as far as I know that opening the door for her, especially on all entrances and exit doors, or in your own vehicle, and even at the house, must be very or must be observed at all times. And of course, with this Valentine season, prices of flowers might be rising up. So, at any costs, you have to buy as early as possible in order not to be very expensive over time. And since NCR is at level 2, so with Bulacan, Cavite, and Rizal, and even Southern Leyte, Basilan Island, of course, extra precaution is a must. You have to bring your own hand sanitizing devices or alcohol. By the way, this one is not sponsored in any way, but of course, we have to be sure that we are safe and protected as well. And most of you might be investing into some sort of high-tech devices. So don't forget to make an extra quantity as a gift to your loved ones, especially if your loved one has a receiving gifts as a love language. That's the second one. And of course, with these five love languages that I have realized, only the acts of service could survive in my own way. Especially that we as humans have different personalities, different qualities. I'm a guy on action sometimes, especially if I saw someone, oh my goodness, what I have realized something gone wrong while I shoot for the mapili that errant individuals are refusing to wear face mask. Oh my goodness me. That's not acceptable. But of course, one out of three have complied. That's not good. We are done already on the acts of service. We are done on the receiving gifts, especially that I have mentioned earlier. And the rest of the three is this: quality time, words of affirmation, and physical touch. Sadly, for those love language of physical touch, of course, during this pandemic, you have to be into a single bubble in order to execute such touches. And by the way, Dr. Gary Chapman, PhD, is an author, speaker, and counselor for the relationships. Especially that me, myself as well, still technically single, and I'm planning on some sort of resumption of dating into a safer one, or should I say, date as safely as possible. Yes, of course, in this episode, we have to learn and slowly learn with one another the love languages, or the primary love languages, especially that there is some sort of a quiz that I have to retake it. And yes, this quiz is in restrictive content, so I might answer it in real time live. And yes, of course, we have to be very careful, very prudent in what we have to answer. And of course, it's more meaningful if it's to send or someone sending me such loving notes or texts or email or messages. And of course, what I have realized someone or something is that if I spend some sort of uninterrupted time or quality time plus somewhat something unexpected to help me, and of course hmm, what could it be? The love language of mine. But to those who have missed the episode of DPinFocus live session, I might upload the, the first two episodes of season 2 all over DP24 Radio 1 on Spotify, iTunes, and most podcast providers. And yes, if I got into some sort of compliments for no apparent reason, and if someone would help me out, not only on the media stuff that I have been going through, and of course, all of these tasks, especially that what I have realized something is that, hmm, she got worried about the heavy bag that I have bought every day. But of course, I might have to reveal it sooner or later with another live vlogs that would be rather taped instead of a live. Of course, there must be a help and support for one another. And one time I sent an update regarding the match Heat versus Pelicans the last time yesterday. 112.97 in favor of Heat. Of course, that's favorite team by Brother Wancho. Special projects in that case, or some sort of errands, as far as you know, that hopefully at this time it must be the same as my previous ones. Oh my goodness me. Goes out of their way to do something that relieves pressure to someone. Oh my goodness me. Especially that if, you know, stress, stress po kayo, then you have nothing to do, especially the pandemic is still here. I know that feeling too. While I'm working here as a mapper or a quality control for the open street map, especially that at these times of pandemic, prayers na lang po ang magiging sandata. And right now, we're running into a 43 minutes. Hopefully, I could truncate into a shorter one ever since that live po ito all over DP24 General TV. Especially that every Saturday na naanasan ko nga po yun na makipag-meet up sa Zumustahan with our fellow feast media servants, collectively known as the creatives or visuals and tech. Of course, ito nga po ang magiging problema nito. What if I have to surprise someone. What do you think? To those watching on Facebook and Kumu, kindly comment it down below or chat below rather. And yes, mga hindi ko ngain pa alam kung anong gagawin ko po nito. But of course, I have to plan it very carefully and meticulously para hindi po mabuliyaso. Now that na nagpa-cable na lang, cable company na po kami for that internet connection, I could easily send something that if someone that I love might walk somewhere, nako po, patay po tayo dyan. Pag nalaman po nila kung saan or if I remember something na napanood ako sa isang vlog ng love team na Chaiga. Yung isang bida na akala ninyo stalker lang ang peg. Yes, of course. Kabadong kabado talaga sila pati ako kung anong mangyayari at kung minsan napapasigaw na lang ako. Oh my goodness me. Tapos pinicturean pa ng galing sa loob ng sasakyan at pinrint pa pati yung mga proof. Oh my goodness me. Bakit gagawin yung mga mission na ganyan kung alam natin na may tiwala sa isa't isa? Tapos sinubukan pang abulin ng isang sakyanan sa nakamotorsiklo ng kas. Naloko na. If I go into this logic, yung mga motorsiklo pwedeng sumingit-singit sa mga available na gap. Maliban na lang kung sometimes kailangan i-stick pa sa isang portion na pwede. At yung bawal ay dapat iwasan. And of course, yun nga ang sabi ko. Acts of service pa nga ang nangunguna dyan. Tapos quality time pa. Words of affirmation and receiving gifts pa. Naku po, nawala tuloy ang physical touch. How sad it is that Yung pandemya dahil sa physical distancing na yan, nawala tuloy yung physical touch. Oh my goodness me. What a service. And of course, as a public service na in during these rough times that we are still recovering, this 12 February, nasa 10,662 na po ang mga bagong gumaling. Dandy previews na 5,652 kahapon. But of course, the saddest thing is that 3,792 ang mga bagong kaso ng COVID, totaling into, or should I say, at least nag-drop na po ang total active cases ng 84,229. And by the way, ang mas ikinalulungkot nga ho, 76 ang mga pumanaw, totaling into 54,930 who have passed away. And of course, my deepest condolences and prayers to all love to all family members, friends who bear the loss of their loved ones or servant as well. Especially sa Katoliko po. Last year, mga August 2021, sadly, pumanaw po si Father Michael Laguardia, SDB. Pati ang dalawa pang SDB priests. 2 out of 3, including Father Michael, COVID-related po ang kinamatay. Kaya kung ako po sa inyo, magpabakuna na po kayo hanggat maaari. Especially sa panahon po ngayon na Omicron na po ang bagong variant plus the stealth Omicron sub-variant pa. Of course, month of action pa nga po ako. And if possible, masisita ko nga po sila for such health protocol issues. And of course, what I have valued the most, especially sa pagiging action man ko nga po mismo is that every time na may binabantayan na isang area or section, talagang walang kawala. Kahit isa dyan na magtangkang dayain ang distansya, talagang masisita ko sila. Especially one time bago magpandemya. Kasama ako sa mga pumila sa entrance mismo. Nagkaon ng COVID-19 pandemic sa isang bansa. Kaya sa sobrang ingat ko talaga, kailangan ko pang dumistansya ng isa 1+ na meters. Especially may temperature check pa yan. Kaya nung sumunod na ako, nako, yung sa likod ko, tinang kapanganam, dapitan ako. Doon ko siya sinita na dumistansya ka dyan. Huwag kang tumutok. Then, nag-proceed sa temperature check right after ng summon o pagsita. Kaya itong nangyari, nag-clear ako. Ito ngang problema dyan. Bakit may humahaang pa sa dinadanan ko where in fact na dapat cleared talagang left lane ng escalator. But yes, of course, we have to be more responsible. And what I have been realized something is that I'm surfing out of love, not the obligation, of course. Na-value ngain ko sa wakas yung pagiging media ministry servant ko nga po at napanindigan ko pa. But of course, easing on such burdens would entail a teamwork and responsibility. And of course, with that quality time that I'm promoting as well, ang inisip ko talaga, numero uno talagang kalaban yung orasan ko or oras talaga. But of course, doon lamang po matagpuan ang pagmamahal talaga if this quality time are exercised properly. And yes, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to all those still watching all over Kumu, Sir Jewish. So, good afternoon din po sa inyo dyan. And yes, thank you so very much at mag-station ID po muna ako at this time. Babalikan ko po kayo. Diyan lamang po kayo sa DP24 General TV. We'll be right back shortly. You're watching DP24 General TV from the city of Dasmanias, home of the Papao Festival. Hello, and good afternoon na po sa inyo. It's an hour already since we have started this episode. And hello and shout out po sa inyong lahat na nanonood sa Kumu and of course FB, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Naka-simulcast po tayo lahat. And of course, with that love languages na na-discuss ko po sa inyo, not all people have the same love languages as mine. And of course, acts of service and quality time ang naging primary love languages ko. And of course, nag-station ID muna tayo for the proper identification. Especially kung naka-live tayo all over an hour. Kailangan pa rin po tayo magpakilala na bilang isang online na station po. DP24 General TV. Nasa YouTube po. And also on Kumu and TikTok. Of course, 17:01 5:01 p.m. Philippine Standard Time. And yes, of course, kung nanonood po kayo all over Facebook Watch, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, nandyan pa rin po yung importanteng reminders, especially ang concern ko nga po is about the passenger welfare and safety. Kaya kung may balak po kayong umuwi ng pa-Bicol o pa-Calabarzon o pa-Mimar o pa-Visayas o Mindanao via SRIT. Ang passenger information display systems po naka-simulcast yan. And of course, meron po tayong telop sa ilalim ng screen na nandito po sa ilalim mismo, especially when it comes to real-time updates, kailangan na and other reminders na hindi po kasya sa lower thirds na normally nagpa-pop up. Of course, we have to make sure na you have or you got covered po talaga. And thank you so very much to those watching all over Como since we got 3,900 plus hearts and increasing. And yes, of course, no divided attention have occurred. And that's the quality time. All of my thoughts and opinions here are merely personal and do not reflect those of the company and its management. And of course, words of affirmation as part of being into the feast. Of course, mantra po namin yan na you are loved. Yes, that's right. You heard it right. You are loved. Especially at this hardest times that we had been going through, no matter what it would happen, then surely everything goes all the way in order to be into such a world, a better place to live in. And of course, ingat po tayo dyan sa mga pagsasalita natin, especially if, you know, nasa tawag ko dito, if nasa ibang lugar ka, you have to abide by the laws and customs as well. Of course, dahil nga ho sa nangyari sa pandemya, I have forgot already on those physical touch na nawala no sa akin. That's a concern for all of us, especially with the new normal, better normal setup. All sorts of physical contact are banned in observance of physical distancing. That's why etong nga ho ngayon ang isang alternative, yung pag siko ang gamit o or fist bump, yun nga ho ang ginagamit ngayon. And di mabuhay gesture like this. Sa Thailand ho, etong ginagamit nila for a bow as a sign of respect. Sa aming home Pilipino, and yes, of course, even though physical touch got into almost impossible, of course, sooner or later, if I got into a date once again as safely as possible, sa malamang at sa hindi. There is a possibility that the physical touch could be impossible on my date. Ayun nga ho, na-upload ko nga no, yan as a clips sa Kumu. And if you need to, you know, check on the sources, you may cross-reference it into DPinFocus live session season 2, both on general TV and the radio one. Of course, this has been a concluding part for DPinFocus live session. And yes, of course, what I have realized something is this. There's a chance na bakay if we got met already, that after several dating sessions or a quality time right after my graduation and while in the middle of the board exam, bakay magkatuluyan pa kami. So don't forget to support me in any way. Some kahit anong makakaya nyo po. To those who are watching all over Kumu, you may send some diamonds or virtual gifts habang wala pa sa Facebook at YouTube. Sa Kumu pain po tayo magsisend ng virtual gifts or diamonds or kahit ano po dyan. Just click on the send gifts or just tap rather on the send gifts icon. And don't forget to select the gift that you might to send. And I'm glad that you might support my endeavors as well. And yes, of course, we are still live. We are still live here on DP24 General TV. Hopefully, some of you might send me some gifts or virtual gifts in the form of diamonds or anything. Just like the halo-halo na sinesendan ko. But this has to be into conclusion ever since na nag-overtime na ho tayo. 17:12 already. So be safe, be well, stay sane and dry, and you are loved. Thank you very much for watching DP in Focus Season 2 live session with your one and only Dirpos speaking. And yours truly needs to have some sort of an exercise. So see you on Tuesday.